Hello and welcome to the Maple Grove City Report. I'm Dave Kaiser from Northwest Community Television, joined by Heidi Nelson, Maple Grove City Administrator. Welcome again.
Thank you.
We have a council meeting that was about an hour and a half to talk about, so a few items there, and springtime, a lot happening in the city of Maple Grove, so we'll bring you up to date. And Heidi has had the pleasure of heading to the Capitol a few times, so we'll find out why. First, the council meeting. Give us a little recap. Hour and a half meeting. What were some of the main points covered?
Yeah, so pretty good sized consent agenda, kind of some cleanup on some development items. The markets at Rush Creek, that project's moving forward, so that's that 101 County Road 10 Bass Lake Road Hy-Vee anchored project. So we'll start to see likely some construction activity there over the next construction season.
Very good.
All of course, the summer street maintenance, seal coating projects, those kinds of things, those are moving forward. So we're getting into that construction season, hot and heavy here. That will be kicking in. And then we moved on to the regular agenda. We did have a premises permit for charitable gambling for the Northwest area JCs. Some concern with that with the council. They talked a lot about where the funds are contributed back to, whatnot. That one's going to come back on April 18th. The council directed staff to prepare some findings about that, and that'll come back on the 18th of April for consideration by the council.
And just a quick background for people. This is a group that has already a few sites in the city of Maple Grove, and what they're looking to do is add on additional sites. Is that correct?
That's correct. They have two sites today at Broadway Pizza and the second one's, JC's, I'm sorry, former Jake Cousinos.
Okay.
And then they were going to expand, they're looking to expand to do bingo type program at the Lookout.
Okay.
And then pull tabs at Chanticleer, a new Chanticleer that's happening up kind of on the County Road 30 corridor next to Hobby Lobby there.
Okay.
So they were looking to add those two sites to their charitable gambling efforts.
Okay, so then something that will be discussed further, and we'll keep you up to date on that as it moves ahead.
Yes. Then we moved on to other development-related items. The council did approve the Village at Arbor Lakes PUD. This is for both the concept and the development stage plans for this project. So this is the Kelly Dorn project there at the corner, kind of the fourth corner of the Arbor Lakes area, the northeast corner. On the north side, residential, about 700 units of kind of higher end luxury apartment project. Very significant clubhouse amenities, or high level of amenities, I guess, throughout the project. But will be built in phases. The first building will have about 260 units, and that clubhouse amenity will be built at the same time as the those first units.
Okay.
So that'll get done. And then the south side is a commercial piece that will be, it has two hotels, a couple of outlets for restaurants, small office building, and then kind of some street front retail in there as well. So that is another project that'll start to see some construction activity this spring. I think they're going to get started on the residential piece to the north, and then the first hotel project probably by later into the construction season. But,
but still this year for some of that activity, and with the hope of opening in 2017?
Yeah, likely for the hotel and whatnot. I'm not certain. I think the timing on they talked a little bit about construction timelines, might be a little bit longer on the clubhouse and the residential pieces. But yeah, certainly getting started during this season with the infrastructure and whatnot, and then probably later in the season on some of the building activity.
Okay.
Yep.
From a transportation standpoint, then I would take it during construction. It's pretty well contained, so not many worries about having to close roads or do things there. Will there be additional lights that will be added to either side as you entrance into this? My understanding was probably not.
No, so there will be a right-in only on the south side, sort of due west of where Fountains Drive will come in.
Okay.
Between the intersection there with Hemlock.
Right.
And then Fountains is the next one, and that's signalized there. You can go south into the Fountains, or you'd go north into this project. There'd be a right-in between that. And then as you go north on Hemlock, there'll be another right-in.
Okay.
And then up till you get to the Parkway there, where that'll connect in with the signal. So no new signalization, but some modification to those entry points of creating those right-ins.
Okay.
Right now, as you turn north to go on Hemlock, there is a free right there that kind of scoots you along. There might be some modifications to that as well because of those right-ins. We want to make sure that traffic works properly in there, but
very good.
Should be pretty minimal impact to the roadway.
And you mentioned the clubhouse as well, and I understand there's some interesting ties to the clubhouse and possible additional use related to parks within the city. Tell us how that connection was made and some of the interesting things that were discussed there.
Yeah, so the developer, this is a pretty significant clubhouse that the developer is building. It's an amenity piece and a service component for their residents. They did offer to make available to the city for 10 hours a week that we could program that gymnasium space in there. We do have a need in the community for more space for senior programming, for primarily senior fitness type activities. So we saw that bringing some value. So that was worked through the park board and then to the city council.
Very nice.
So they did receive a credit, a 15% credit on their park dedication fees, but that is reflected then in a covenant over that use so that the city has perpetual rights to schedule that space and use it for senior fitness programming. So that would be like our staff, our Park and Rec staff coming in and conducting a program there, not just open use
General
or anything
use,
general use, but more programmed, scheduled use of that space. So nice amenity in there. I think it's going to be a lovely facility. So, you know, it's nice to be able to have that available to our residents as well.
Excellent, great partnership with the city. So again, as far as next steps before the council, any more times this will come before the council in the near future here, or we're really set to go?
We're really set to go because later in the agenda we did move forward the project, the utility components of this. So it receives the sureties and orders the feasibility study for the public improvements that will need to happen there for the utilities and the streets. So that component moving forward at the same time. So you likely won't see this one come back around anytime, you know, unless there's some modification in the future.
One final road question related to this that residents might have. How far does this go up to the north? Does this go all the way up to Weaver Lake Road, and will there be any other access there? Or how much of the gravel area are we taking to go north?
No, it doesn't go quite that far to the north.
And maybe it's something we can touch on in a future program, but I just wondered, as you look at the property here of all of this housing and hotels, you wonder how much space does that really take? But there are some significant piles of gravel still as you head north along Hemlock. So my guess would be it doesn't go that far.
Nope, not at all, actually. And so it's quite a distance, actually, up to Weaver from the northern extent of the project. It's pretty much kind of like 40 acres south of the Parkway and north of the Parkway that'll, you know, that's getting developed there. So, yeah, lots of land yet to be developed, and much of that, as you go north of that residential project, is all pretty much residential land until you get more up into the area where there's some existing industrial. You know, there's industrial up in that area, but it's really more of a residential zoning in that that sort of middle portion of the gravel pit area where much of the material is sitting today. So probably a little bit of a horizon until we see some development projects there.
Exactly. All right. We will keep you up to date on that, and we'll watch as the shovels get into the ground. And we'll talk a little bit more about that area and the TIF district a little later on in the program. Any other items from the council meeting we should touch on?
Let's see. We did do some updates just about some of the road construction that's getting underway up on 610, and people will start to notice that activity. Particularly this week, Maple Grove Parkway closing just beyond the Target. So as you come up the Parkway there, just past the hospital, you can still get to the Target site, but the road closes just after that entrance. And so then you're not able to proceed north up to 81. And that the other kind of big issue there is that the entrance to the Yardway site is on the north side of the closure now. So you have to kind of come around off of 81 to access that site. This closure will be in place until pretty much until the 610 project is complete, which is likely the end of the fall, you know, October, November timeframe. So kind of a long,
we're going to have to deal with it for a little while.
Long to mid-range change here. And as with any road closure, it takes a while for people to change their patterns and figure out their new path to where, you know, whether they're going to work or, and we have the high school just around the corner up there. Lots of traffic there. So it's been a bit of a challenging week up there. But hopefully as time comes on here, think people will adjust their patterns. We are keeping an eye on it, certainly, and seeing, is there something we need to do to modify some of the controls, traffic control areas. We have the kind of the three-way stop over by the high school. How is that functioning? Because there's been some long lines this week.
Okay.
So we're taking a look at that, but we typically like to let things settle out a little bit just to see how people adjust their pattern before we make changes to the controls and whatnot. So something we're going to keep an eye on here as we move into the summer. Certainly school letting out will help.
Yes.
Yes.
So take a look at a map and plan your trip, and I would guess there's something on the city's website that relates to what is closed and maybe the best ways to get around some of that area.
Yes.
Okay.
For sure. For
Any other items from the council meeting?
I think that kind of rounds it out. We have a couple of development projects that will be coming forward to the Planning Commission the next couple weeks. We have a 25,000 square foot medical office building up in the Grove area that Ryan Companies is bringing forward. And then kind of just north of the community center on the north side of Weaver Lake Road there on Norwood is the cross street there. We have a 32 detached units, kind of a detached townhome product that'll be going in there. Pulte is working on that one. So those two will be in front of the Planning Commission in the week ahead, and then probably at the council later in April or early May.
All right, so there's your recap of the meeting that happened just this past week. Let's move to the legislature. You had the great opportunity to take a couple trips down to the Capitol talking about a few items. One was as I understand it, the House Capital Investment Committee, and this was about 610. Tell us why there's a need to meet with that group, and what are we looking for to happen?
Yeah, so by the end of this construction season, 610 will be connected to 94. And so if you're headed westbound 610, you'll be able to continue on westbound 94 up towards Rogers. If you're coming into town on 94, eastbound 94, you will be able to continue on and go eastbound 610 towards Maple Grove and Brooklyn Park.
Right, and the wording you said was connected, not completed, right?
That's right.
Okay.
We're connected, but we have another couple phases, or one more phase of the project to make it complete. So you'll have those two movements available to you as of the end of this construction season. We are at the Capitol looking for additional funding. The remaining segments of the project is about $45 million to complete all of the movements. And so this makes the additional connections to 94 to have all those movements happen, and then it connects out to County Road 30. So there's a portion of this that are, this is kind of technical stuff at the state level where the funding sources come through, but there's a portion of it that is trunk highway portions of the project, and that gets funded through a certain funding source at the state, and then there's other portions that will be kind of county state aid highway, more regional, local connections. So we had an opportunity to testify, Ken Ashfeld and myself, in front of the House Capital Investment Committee, and we were really focused on that county state aid highway components, the non-trunk highway components. This is a committee that focuses on geo bonding, so general obligation bonding of the state, which can't be used on the trunk highway portions. So we are focused on that, sort of that county state aid portion of highway, or 610 extension out to County Road 30 that makes kind of that full connection out there to County Road 30 and serves that land in and around there. So the other portions of the project funding will be looking towards the trunk highway components can be funded through other MnDOT programs, whether that be there's a local road improvement program, there's a transportation economic development grant program, there's different funding sources that we can apply for, and we'll be looking for those funding sources to complete out the project. But we're hoping that some larger, it seems like if you can get one big chunk to fall, then everything else falls in place. We'd like to continue on so that maybe we could see construction of the balance of this begin, 18-19 time frame. We have some environmental work, design work to be done that'll probably take, almost a year. But if we can get some of this funding in place, we can continue on, and then the project will be complete. And I think that's kind of the fun message to the legislature is, we won't be back there
Yes.
again. Just
You
help
got
us
rid
out
of
with
us.
this, and then you will have completed what's really been, this highway connection's been envisioned for many decades.
Yes, it
And
certainly
so,
has.
pretty big accomplishment to get this done, and we just need a little bit more to get it all finished up.
So you mentioned MnDOT. Have you had discussion recently with the MnDOT as well about that portion of it? And even, I take it, the county is probably involved in this as well?
Yeah, so we just recently had a meeting with the county and the state, sort of updated them on our discussions with the legislature and how, we're kind of trying to parse this out. So, this portion could get paid over here, this portion over here.
Right.
And MnDOT needs to be on board with those other, us tapping into those other funding sources, and they are. This is, a plan that they endorse and have reviewed, and it's their design, and so we're continuing to work with them on that. But the county certainly has a piece of this, working with the county, and then there will be a city component likely. So it's one of these, this is how projects get done, is that, you sort of cobble together these resources from all of these different funding programs, and pretty soon you have a project.
Right.
And so very collaborative in nature, and all of these parties working together to bring it forward. So I'm optimistic. I know
You have to be,
you
right?
have to be. That's, I think, what my job is. So they lots of challenges at the legislature this year, but I think everybody sees the value of this project and sees the value of getting it over the finish line. So hopefully we'll be successful with some piece of funding.
Now, you mentioned the city component of it. It's not just the city of Maple Grove either. I would take it this impacts cities as you go further out to the west, and that's why that extra connection over to County 30 makes sense. Is that something that we're hearing now as well?
For sure. I mean, this connection out to County Road 30, if you think about, the sort of state highway system that serves the West Metro, there's state highways all the way up the west side of the Metro, but once you get to 55, there's really nothing between 55 and 94. You have this whole, triangle of the pie that isn't served. And that County Road 30 is really that east-west connection out to the west edge of the county and then into Wright County,
Right.
where they're experiencing, significant development. And
Sure.
we see quite a bit of traffic coming from. So this is clearly a project that has benefits to, Corcoran and Rogers and Dayton. And that's why we're really sort of trying to expand that funding pool, because this is a project that has regional benefit. Not only is there, development opportunities, certainly in Maple Grove, absolutely.
Right.
But the regional benefits of this project of connecting out to County Road 30 and making those connections beyond Maple Grove, I think is really, the focus of our approach on the funding.
And the land that is in Maple Grove that's in that area, is it zoned residential, commercial, industrial, or a mix of all of the above?
Really a mix of all the above, and I think it's really the land that's up against the highway corridors. So not dissimilar to what you see, in Brooklyn Park coming
Right.
across 610.
Right.
You see a lot of growth of industry along that highway corridor, which we do anticipate continuing. And then as you go up 94, I think we've talked before about kind of what's happening up the 94 corridor, Rogers, Dayton, a lot of more kind of warehousey type development, and how does that transition into Maple Grove?
Right.
Really big focus on industry and job creation in those highway corridors. And then, of course, the residential, fitting in behind that. We don't anticipate more big commercial centers.
Right.
We, between the Grove and the Arbor Lakes area and whatnot, along Weaver Lake Road, those portions of the development are pretty much complete.
Sure.
But now I think the focus really shifts to industry, and it opens up that whole, all of that land in that northwest quadrant
Right.
for development. So pretty exciting stuff, but big goals to work on.
So if that wasn't enough to spend time at the Capitol, then return trip to the Capitol,
Yes.
talk about the TIF district and the gravel mining area. What is the latest there? What's the discussion taking shape as of right now?
So in 2014, the city received some special legislation for a tax increment financing district for the gravel mining area. This was, the city sought this special legislation to create its kind of some technical aspects of it. It's a soil deficiency district. So it recognizes kind of some of the challenges that come along with developing in an area where you might have extraordinary cost associated with the conditions of the soils and whatnot. So the legislation was approved in 2014. We're going back this year to just make some tweaks to that. We need to make some tweaks to the project area definition. And then we're looking for a little bit extra authority to utilize the increment to pay for infrastructure in that area, whether it's because of the soil conditions or not. So just in general, being able to use the increment to pay for infrastructure, which is really sort of the focus of this, again, back to the issue of industry and job creation.
Right.
If we want to see sort of that good development of, office and where, industry type development, light industrial, that's where we need to participate or collaborate with the developers, and this is a tool that'll help us do that. So in front of the Senate Tax Committee this week, the mayor and I were able to testify. Again, same challenges happening as whether are they going to get a tax bill done in general. That would help us a lot is if we can have some progress on the bigger, broader issue of a tax bill. But we will continue to monitor this. We anticipate a hearing on the House side. Senator Limmer was with us at the Senate side hearing. Representative Smith is helping us on the House side. And so we'll continue to monitor this and push it along through the session. We're hoping that this will be viewed favorably, and it's really a great tool to help us as we move forward with development in the gravel mining area.
Okay, another item to keep you up to date on. Let's spend our last couple minutes talking about some things to put on your calendar if you're a resident of the city of Maple Grove. It is cleanup time here in the spring, and the city has some ways to help out with that. The curbside pickup is April 25th, and the cleanup day at the Public Works facility is May 7th, starting at 8, going till noon. What does this involve? Why is this something Maple Grove residents should be involved in? So I think we always think it's important to provide the opportunity for people to get rid of things that they no longer need in their home or their garage or the yard. I think it helps us with sort of some of the nuisance code enforcement issues. It's an opportunity for people to kind of clean up, and springtime comes and you want to kind of get rid of some things. So we really do encourage people to take advantage of these services, of whether you have it picked up or you drop it off. It's just a great way to make sure that our neighborhoods look nice and look neat and tidy and cleaned up. And so good service that the city provides to help residents with that issue. Best place to go to find out more is the city's website, because there are some fees involved in some of the different types of things and different fees if you have it picked up on your curbside or take it to the facility. So again, go to the website to look for that. Saturday, April 30th, noon to 4 p.m. Arbor Day festivities, and those happen at the community center. And again, Maple Grove has a lot to do with Arbor Day and in touch with that very closely. Yeah. So the Arbor Committee plans this event. I had an opportunity to sit in on one of their meetings where they were talking about sort of the lineup for the event. Boy, they have just a lot of great activities for families and residents to come out and enjoy. I think the Raptor Center is going to be there. There's just a really long list of events that day from noon to 4 at the community center. So we really encourage people to come out. And it talks a lot about how you can help manage your own trees in your yard, as well as just general landscape issues. One of the big issues, of course, facing the city is the emerald ash borer problem that'll be coming here probably not too long from now. And the city is working on putting together its emerald ash borer management plan. But certainly, as residents and homeowners, there's likely ash trees in your yard. And so how do you plan to deal with those in terms of there are options to, you can do some proactive removal and replacement with a more diverse species. I do know there's treatment programs that are available out there. You can treat it for a while and see if you can escape it and keep the tree. But the one piece about the emerald ash borer is it tends to destroy the circulatory system of the tree quite quickly and makes it a hazard in that the tree becomes, it kills the tree and then it becomes very brittle. And so with any type of windstorm or anything, it can really be a dangerous situation with trees going over. So it doesn't leave a lot of room for error there. You really want to get out and get those trees removed and ideally replaced to keep that urban canopy going. So again, opportunity for education on that and many other topics, again, is the 30th, noon to 4 at the community center. Speaking of the community center, early May is a time to get out there, and if you're interested in a membership, you can get a little discount. Why
Yep.
is the community center a great place to have a membership?
Yeah, so community center, just I actually have been amazed at, and I've gone to the community center for years, but I've never, I guess, looked at it through the lens of the city administrator role. But great scope, from the preschool to senior services.
Sure.
Really offers programming for every stage of life. They have the great teen center there. You don't have to be a member to use some of the things you don't have to be a member
Right.
to use. But the Maple Maze, the pool, the gymnasiums, the ice skating. It's just really a well-rounded community center that provides great recreational opportunities for the whole family. So, and it's right here in your backyard.
That's right.
The heart of the community, I guess, as it started out. And so we really encourage people, if they haven't checked it out, come on out and check it out. And this is a great time to do it with the discount program.
May 5th, it's a Thursday, early morning at Rush Creek Golf Course is the Mayor's Prayer Breakfast. Tell us
Yeah.
about that event.
Yeah, so that event's coming up here May 5th at Rush Creek. Great speaker lined up. I'm skipping on the name here right now, if you can remember it.
I'm trying to remember as well. I think from the it's a Minneapolis teen organization
Yes,
that
I
is
think
coming
you're
to
right.
speak.
You're right.
Teen Challenge?
I think you're right.
Okay.
Yes. So great program planned for the day, and a lovely breakfast, and a great way to start out the day. Information is available on our website.
Right.
So if you have an interest in attending, you can go on the website and get registered. We do. This is a big event every year here. First one that I've ever been able to attend. But I think around 200 to 250 people come that morning for the breakfast, and so really nice event that they hold here in Maple Grove, and the mayor hosts it. So it's a nice event to come and get to know better the community. So,
All right, so
yeah.
hopefully that's enough to fill up your calendar, at least for late April and early May, and
Yes.
we'll work on the rest of May for you soon. Heidi, thank you very much again for your time.
You're welcome.
Appreciate
Thank
the
you.
update. Let's leave you with the next council meeting date. It is coming up quickly. It'll be on Monday, April 18th, 7:30 at the Government Center. Phone number at the bottom of the screen, and we mentioned many things that are on the city's website. If you want to get to the Yardway site or around town, look at the community center and some of the deals there, and also the prayer breakfast, maplegrovemn.gov. And if you have questions or comments, 533-1710, our viewer response line, you can give us a call here. For Heidi Nelson, I'm Dave Kaiser. Thanks for joining us on the Maple Grove City Report.